How does something that seems so right end up going so wrong? That is what I was asking myself this morning for week 2 of Rite of the Nine. Now, typically, I can find some redeeming qualities with the content that Bungie puts out, or even the cadence, even when the community is up in arms. I try to take a glass half full approach with these sort of things. However, I really think Bungie dropped the ball big time with its latest offering, Rite of the Nine. Rite of the Nine is a limited time event offering a match made mode for 3 dungeons, 3 different difficulty tiers, the least of which explains the mechanics, and a reprised loot pool of dungeon weapons. Connect a few emblems, a shader, a new title, etc., and we have a winner. However, myself, as well as many other players, are struggling today to understand the point of it all. In the original developer stream talking about Rite of the Nine, the message was conveyed that the 3 dungeons in question would be on a weekly rotating schedule. So, it's fair to assume that if Spire of the Watcher was featured last week, this week would be Ghost of the Deep or Prophecy, the remaining 2 dungeons. But what a surprise we had this morning when we logged on to find it was in fact just another week of Spire of the Watcher. As I sat in front of my PlayStation, I literally said out loud, "What the Bungie?" I'm struggling to understand how time gating these dungeons makes any type of sense. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that this is an amazing activity for new players, or even returning players, or players that maybe have never been able to get a fire team together to do these dungeons. This is a fantastic way to get your boots or feet wet and see what some endgame content looks and feels like. I'm not even mad that they are offering dungeon exotics for completing even the lowest tier difficulty option on Spire the Watcher. What a fun moment for a new player. Do this endgame activity they maybe never thought they would be able to do, and then also get a killer exotic weapon as well. Okay, awesome. But for the players who have done these dungeons, farmed for weapons, gotten the exotics, what's the purpose now of running the dungeons again? More than that, what's the thought process behind running said dungeons nonstop for 3 weeks in a row? I'm so lost as to what Bungie was thinking with this decision. And while we're talking about it, why not give us a Pantheon type dungeon event? Bosses from dungeons increasing in difficulty each week and adding new mechanics and or encounters as the weeks go on. Gives new players a chance to jump in on an exploration mode that explains everything, gives veteran players a chance to take on the hardest difficulty, have a title, emblems that correspond to the difficulty tiers. Boom! Dungeon Pantheon late spring summer event complete. That's not the case. And now we have another 2 full weeks of Spire the Watcher before we can move on to whatever is next. And for the veteran players who have the exotics, solid rolls of the dungeon weapons already, have ran them until their fingers bled, what's in it for them? What's the harm in giving all of the players everything you can and let them navigate it the way they want to? This is something that I hope Bungie works on for future content drops. Give players all of the things. Let them go in, farm it the way they want, run it on their schedule, and then shut it down when they're ready. The idea that Bungie is still time gating content that simply doesn't need to be time gated is crazy. Anyways, thanks for listening to my short rant. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe down below and comment and let me know your thoughts about Rite of the Nine so far. Peace.